Ladies and gentlemen, what an honor it is to have the BKFC heavyweight champion inside the booth. Ben Rothwell, how are you, sir?
Listen to you, man. You're like a professional now.
When I've got the kingpin inside of the Zoom, I got to give you the best that I have, Ben. Congrats on that victory, dude. When you reflect on it, it's been a couple months. How do you feel about that night in January?
Oh, the night was surreal. I mean, how much can
Yeah,
I say it? 17,700 fans. That's bigger than most of the UFC fights that I was in. I mean, obviously the UFC's had some massive events, but for the BKFC to come in and have that kind of showing, I think is incredible for how many years that they've, in the short period of time that they've done it. I don't know if Bellator or PFL ever had an event that big. So I think it's a huge marker for where we're at in the growth, the trajectory of the sport. And to get a, 30-second knockout, a clean, eyes wide open, guys knocked out with baby T Rex arms, as the one guy said, knockout in front of that fans here, everybody on their feet. It was one of the biggest, it is. It's probably one of the best moments of my fighting career. So
did you expect it to be that quick? I know you were envisioning the knockout, but 30 seconds in, like you said, is I don't know if that's the fastest in your career, but it certainly was early in round one.
I mean, I go into every fight with anything can happen. Like I can win this in 10 seconds. I can win this in, if the guy is just brutally tough, I don't want to say like I'm prepared to go to a decision because I'm really not. Like if
Yeah.
it's into the fifth round, I'm standing up to the stool in the fifth round. My mentality is I'm ending you now in the next 2 minutes. Like that's the way it's got to be. And I kind of carry that mentality from the start. You know what I mean? So I'm
Mhm.
really, I really expect it really depends on how brutally tough the guy is. If this is going to go to the second round, third round, fourth round, I'm prepared to keep hitting him. I went through so much where you give a guy your best shot and he keeps looking at you. What's that going to do to your mentality? And
Mhm.
that really messes up a lot of guys. They're like, man, I just hit this guy with everything and he keeps coming. And to fix that, I'm like, good. I'm gonna hit you again and again
Yeah.
and again because it doesn't. There is no human being alive that's gonna take multiple shots from me. I've proven it to myself, and it only takes one when you hit the right spot.
Absolutely. Now, when you think about the vision of being a champion, because that title shot never came inside the UFC, but now you have that world championship around your waist. Is the reality as good as the vision?
For me, I grew up in a time where coming from the military camp, it was always said like winning the belt was never enough.
Mhm.
And so I kind of keep that with me where it's like, all right, like let's defend it, let's fight somebody next, let's get a big super fight, like whatever it is, it's about, what's the next fight? Like what's the next step? And at my age, it's time's against me. So I'm really, really hoping to get some more fights in this year. The only thing I've had against me since being here, I'm 4-0, but that's taken all of 3 years to make happen. But the organization is growing at an alarming rate. They're super busy. They have a lot of great things going for them. So I'm very positive. I'm very hopeful that we're going to make some things move this year. And I'm really, really hoping, fingers crossed, that we're going to have an announcement really soon for a fight this summer.
I love it. That would be fantastic. A summer showdown for the heavyweight throne and the first defense. Who might it be? Because obviously it was Mark Hunt at the post fight press
I'm
conference
going to
that
give you a
you.
little secret. I don't think it's going to be for defense.
Oh, oh, interesting. I
Yeah, I
won't.
think I think this is going to be a massive fight, and then I'm told that I will have an opportunity to defend the heavyweight title at the end of the year. So it's a dream for me. I get 3 fights in this year would be the absolute most awesome thing. And for where we're at right now with timing, I couldn't ask for a better setup. Fight this summer and a fight at the end of the year. It would really make an awesome 2025.
I love it, man. That does sound like a fun schedule. I want to ask quickly about how the combat sports demographic, views you now versus maybe when you started in BKFC or when you were in the UFC. Do you feel like there's this tangible shift in, your rep within the community?
When I came in, there was like a crowd. They're very committed and hardcore to the BKFC, to bare knuckle fighting. And
Hmm.
I was like the outsider, and they don't know, you know what I mean? Like Platinum Perry was getting a lot of hype, and you could see online comments like kind of jealous of him or didn't really like what he was doing, that he was bringing, and just could kind of see like they were really like, hey, this is our thing, and
Yeah.
you MMA guys, you UFC guys, you're kind of like the enemy. And I was really trying to be like, no, man, I'm a combat sport guy. Like I watch
Yeah.
everything, I do everything, I represent everything. And I was really trying to get it to him like, I'm here for the BKFC. I'm not here to do one fight and look good and move on. Like I'm here to kind of I'm here to finish out my career. And
Yeah.
through the wins, I think I've been kind of like making that shift happen where now I kind of feel like I got the MMA crowd that followed me, and this new MMA, the bare knuckle crowd is kind of like, all right, this guy's giving us what we came to watch. So I feel like there's a melding taking place where um an MMA crowd definitely followed me. But what's cool is my hometown through all my UFC tenure never really embraced me. I mean, that's just how I felt. Like I
Oh,
got friends in town and people that are obviously fans, but I never felt like the local news, the local entities, the government, nothing. I felt like never gave a was really gonna back me. And that all kind of changed now with the BKFC. I don't know if it's just because a newer a newer government came in and just like a newer crowd or whatever. I don't know what it is, but they after this title win, the mayor named February 8th as officially Ben Rothwell Day in Kenosha. Presented me with some came to my grand opening. The Kenosha News writes about me more, and just kind of like moving around town, just crazy. The first couple months after the win, how many people in my own hometown were acting like this is the first time they ever met me, and
wow.
and really get behind me. That's kind of been going on though. The whole the first couple wins, I kind of got people excited, and the bars began to like people. I guess from I'd be at the fight, but my local friends were like, "Yeah, dude, the bars are getting busy when you fight." And for the title win, the title fight, I guess all the local bars were packed. Like the
Wow.
old days when people used to do for the UFC back in 2010, people used to get together and really get like watch a UFC, and that those days are gone. Like there's just so many events, nothing. It doesn't have that special factor anymore.
Yeah.
But when I fight, it seems like yeah, that people are all right. They got that special factor, and everybody tunes in. So that's kind of the cool thing for me is all these years, kind of. I don't want to see. I felt disrespected, but I kind of
Hmm.
felt like yeah, my own hometown. I didn't feel like got behind me like they do now.
I love it. And yeah, you're reinventing the watch party, Ben Rothwell. I mean, you're bringing it
Yeah,
back.
yeah. So the bars better be happy.
Just give you a cup, man. Yeah, you got to get some alcohol percentages. I know, talking about the future, there was a $25 million tournament that was proposed. Obviously, that's planned. You had joked about maybe participating. Is that
Not
still
joked. If it was
not
going
joked?
down, I'm in. I was
You're
in. I felt like it kind of came and went.
yeah.
Maybe the things that needed to happen didn't happen, but that definitely died down. And from what the best that I feel and see, I don't think it's happening.
But in the event that it comes up, Ben
I'm
Rothwell's
in.
punching the ticket. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
um, what is on the horizon BKFC related that gets you most excited? Because there's such a great slate of events coming. There's a Texas debut, celebrating that being approved by the commission. There's a big event in Birmingham. Obviously, BKFC 78, that's headlined by the heavyweights, Leo Perdomo and Arnold Adams. What's getting you most excited for the next few months?
Opportunity to have a title defense in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
We're right on the verge of having it legalized in Wisconsin. The BKFC is just actively every day trying to get this thing approved in all 50 states. They've had some major wins with Texas now, obviously California. So there's been some big leeway on that. And Wisconsin's like pretty much on board. They want a
Hmm.
guaranteed event, to come to Wisconsin to kind of seal the deal. And hey, I think from everything that I know, yeah, BKFC's in. It's just a matter of like getting a date, getting it all figured out. So that's what I was saying. Maybe that end of the year, maybe something happens. So for me, that would be the most awesome thing is the headline right here in Wisconsin. That would be quite the cherry on top.
When was the last time you got to compete in Wisconsin?
Good question. When I fought, it was a UFC. I don't remember the number. And I beat up Brandon Vera.
There you go. I love it. What is it that you think some UFC fans or mixed martial arts fans, they haven't subscribed to the BKFC philosophy? They haven't really maybe adopted an interest in bare knuckle or have a negative perception of it. Why do you think that is?
People are just funny. They're very tribal. It's our nature since the
Mhm.
existence of the human, species. Like we get behind stuff. Like I said, when I came in, the BKFC fans are like, "No, like we're bare knuckle people. Like we don't want none of these UFC guys. Like it's crazy like that. Like I had to like win them over, even though I'm like been doing this for 25 years, like I had to prove myself all over again. And that's fine. It's fun. It give me like another challenge to try to work it over. I think there's like hardcore UFC fans. They're not watching boxing, they're not watching
Yeah.
anything. They're like they'd have it tattooed on them. Like they're like even though it's getting, and this is what I've noticed, and it's sad, is the grappling, the fighters are actually getting so good, the fights are becoming more boring because they're more technical. And hardcore jiu-jitsu, I mean, they like it, like they see what's going on, but your average person,
Yeah. That doesn't
a group
train.
of
They
a
won't
group
know.
of women, like women, you bring a women to a watch party, are falling asleep, leaving halfway through. They're not interested.
Yeah.
And the BKFC is like the ultimate ADH like fan base. Like it's fast, it's quick. It's people that don't know fighting know what a knockout is.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to this from my fights from my cards. The card that I fought on January 25th had some crazy knockouts. The whole card was exciting, and I got told like at these watch parties, like women were watching to the main event, like they were into it, they were watching it. Like obviously my fight really helped, and that's awesome to hear. Like we're creating new fans, people that don't really understand fighting, they understand bare knuckle. They understand what we're doing. And it sounds so whatever to people like, oh, bare knuckle. And I'm like, if you give me a second to explain, let me tell you, like bare knuckle sounds brutal, but in MMA, I could get head kicked, elbowed, kneed, dropped on my arm wrong, have broken limbs. And when I explain it, people are like, oh man, that is sound pretty violent. I'm like, yeah, it is. Like
Yeah.
it's combat sports. It's inherently violent and dangerous, and there's a thing to it.
Do
But
you get deja vu? Because I think people had the same opinions on MMA back in the day, at the
yes,
beginning. Right. So you're like, okay, I'm having the same conversations 25 years apart now.
yeah, it's going through the same things. And then what it happens is I get people to a live event, and it was
Mm.
cool in Salt Lake just this last weekend. A lot of people, it was their first live event, and there's about 8,000 people, so it wasn't hard for me to circulate around the arena. Like I was kind of going around all over the place, but I got to run into some of these people at the end of the event, and obviously I always ask, so what'd you think? And they're just like, oh my god, they're like, this is so awesome, and I can't wait to see another one. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. I'm like, seeing the live event really wins people over. Because they see the guys get, the men and women, they see them get back up. They see that we're
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, we get bloody. You see cuts, and then one of the bucked up brothers, the younger brother competed, and he
Mhm.
lost. Unfortunately, a lot of people were sad, and he had some pretty gnarly cuts. Well, before the main event was over, he came back from the hospital. He was all stitched up. He was fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and like people are like, oh wait, he's all right. I'm like, yeah, he is. He's all right. He's fine. Like that stuff's gonna heal in a couple of weeks, and he's got some cool war wounds, and he's
Yeah.
out here talking to everybody. And I'm like, and that was like one of the worst fight. You know what I mean? The bloodiest whatever fight. I mean, he's fine. So I
Exactly.
think people are like, oh, okay, like it's not so bad. Like, yeah, in MMA, man, when you land from a takedown wrong, and your arm goes out the wrong way, or your kneecaps blow out, like those are career-ending injuries. You know what I mean? Like MMA is super freaking dangerous for the
Yeah.
athletes. So
So cuts on the face, that's superficial,
yeah,
like you
it
said.
really
That'll heal.
is. You know,
Do you see a world in which BKFC could potentially overtake UFC in popularity or engagement within the combat sports world?
I mean, we're this is I don't it can't help it always gets put in that. Like I
Yeah.
like to say we're different. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, hey, there's boxing, there's MMA, and there's bare knuckle. Like we're our own thing, but we're constantly getting compared to the UFC, constantly getting compared to who's number one, number two. And I'm funny is, we're getting compared over PFL, and I'm like, we're not even MMA. I'm like, why aren't you competing with the boxing organizations? And I think it's a good thing. Like, hey, like we've made so much noise that people are making that comparison. But I always try. I think David Feldman, the BKFC, they don't want to. They're not in this. They're not trying to sound like David Dodd and like say all this
Yeah.
crazy shit. They're like, hey, man, UFC is a tyrant. They're massive. They're $20 billion company. We're just doing our thing. You know, we're they're
Apples and
awesome.
oranges. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just here doing our thing. Like we don't want to compare. And it's like I think that's an awesome way to look at it. But I just told you, like, when it really comes down to the excitement factor, our sport's only going to continue to get more exciting the better guys get. And in MMA, unfortunately, it's getting more boring the better guys are getting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, people want knockouts in the UFC. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like, some of the biggest stars are the ones that come out and give knockout. But then a good wrestler messes all of that up. Well, there is no good wrestlers that are going to mess that up in BKFC. Like it's on the feet, it's giving people what they want. And the difference is boxing, the gloves do, even if they're 10 ounces, they still take a lot of
The
the
impact of the
possibility for
glove. Yeah.
knockouts and action and all they do. Like, yeah, you can still see a quick knockout, but look at the numbers in the last 5 years. Dude, we're having so many finishes. And
Yeah.
like as an average Joe watching, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see
Exactly.
a decision. I don't want to see guys laying on the ground. I want to see when someone get knocked the out.
Brutal, baby. Just bleed. Of course. Well, let's change gears. I want to talk about life away from the combat sports side of things. And now your gym, man. Talking about you recently moved into a bigger space, and I think things are going well. Let us know how that's been going.
Well, I don't just so I opened in 2011, October of
Mhm.
2011, renting like most gyms. And December 26th, I opened my own commercial property. So it's a big deal. Like we own the building, we own the land, and yeah, I have like doubled the size. We have showers, locker rooms. You know, we just had a little place like a lot of gyms do when they start out. Like you got some mats, and people get sweaty and dirty, and they get expected to go home and change at home. And it drove me. I never wanted that, but it's just like
Yeah.
you got to do what you got to do. And now I had an opportunity to build a real locker rooms, give my students and showers and everything like that. So that was a really big thing for me to give. We got two mat spaces, and everything's top of the line. I got some really nice equipment. So and we keep things like you walk into a gym and smell stinky and you smell it, and like that's one thing. Even with our small gym, you walk into our gym every day for the whole year, it smells brand new.
Yeah.
And so now I have like a new place to do that with. So I think people really appreciate that especially it's the people that have been to other gyms, they're the ones that appreciate my gym the most.
I love it. I love it. Talking about some of the pupils that you got there. I know Cody Lynn obviously is doing tremendous and one of the stars. Who else is up and coming that you are training?
Well, that's funny. You got Cody Lynn. So at least he's made enough noise, or you've heard of Cody Lynn. Uh, Honestly, it's very amateur right now because Cody's been with me since he was young. He came in
Yeah.
at like 10 years old, and been kind of went through taking his time. The kid's just born as a martial artist. He just gets it. He doesn't need to be constantly yelled at and badgered to do the things he's supposed to do. He just does it. And that's what I need around me right now because I'm still fighting. And I tell guys all the time, I'm not your coach, I'm your brother. Like I'm here to
Mhm.
help you right now, but like I gotta help myself. Like I'm still fighting. So it's hard for me to like be a full-time committed coach. And luckily I got jujitsu coaches and I got guys that are helping and we have stuff, but like you gotta have thick skin to compete around me because how I was brought into this. My first I was 17 years old, and the guy that got me into this wasn't even there to coach me. He didn't corner me. And I tell people it's funny is my first six fights was done in 3 nights because I fought in tournaments. So my first
Wow.
six fights, yeah. So and these were in Indiana and Ohio, and I live in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So I'm 17 years old, driving 16 hours away for the one 8 hours away with a
Yeah.
21-year-old dude that I met like 6 weeks ago. And my parents are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to a friend's house." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I hear these people now, like grown ass men, are like, "You're not gonna corner me," and I'm like, "Dude, you're an amateur and you're fighting in Milwaukee. Like,
Yeah. What do you expect, dude? Yeah.
I'm sending you with like our four best guys. They got you, man. Like, no, I can't corner you. Like, I got shit to do. Like, so it's hard for some guys. Like, but then it also helps me shift through who's worth it, because so it helps me kind of shift who's got the thick skin, because in this, dude, combat sports is one of the most brutal things you can do,
Yeah.
and one of the first deciding factors is, do you mentally have what it takes? You might be a physically gifted athlete, but if you're mentally weak, none of that matters. You
Yeah.
got to have a mentally thick skin to deal with in combat sports.
100%. Do you ever miss the aspects of MMA that obviously in bare knuckle you don't have access to, the kicks or any of the grappling? Is there ever a part of you where you're like, man, I wish I could throw a calf kick right now?
I teach, so our biggest program in my gym is kickboxing, which
Mhm.
our striking class, because I show Muay Thai where I'm showing elbows and knees, the clinch work, all the kicks. So I'm still actively throwing kicks to demonstrate all every week
Mhm.
for this whole time. For 25 years I've been still doing it. That's a part of me. And jujitsu is the other aspect. So in our jujitsu, we're really big on wrestling and jujitsu together. So it's kind of all there. Um, I don't miss the training hard, like intense
Mhm.
with the wrestling and the jujitsu, because I was training with guys my size and bigger. And dude, is a hard training session. Every time we would hit a hard takedown and we would hit the mats, the whole place would shake and everybody would stop and be like, "Oh my god!" And it's like every time that happens, it's like that could be like a career-ending injury if we
Yeah.
land wrong. You know what I mean? Just one stupid thing in the middle of a workout, and like that could end my career. And I had to do it. I didn't have a choice, but it's good to not have that hanging over my head, like that risk, the amount
Yeah.
of risk in the training, to kind of take that away. And the as I'm getting older, the recovery from that stuff, you grapple hard for 1 hour, dude. I'm ruined for like days after. Now at 43 years old, it's super hard, and only having to focus on boxing. Boxing is like riding a bike for me. I can just do it for
Mhm.
hours. I don't feel sore the next day at all. And like I spar hard. I spar dudes bigger than me right now. Golden gloves and professional boxers, and like I go to war with these dudes and I'm fine. I can do it. So that really, really helped me with my career, rejuvenate my career. Um, so there's that. There's things
Yeah.
that I miss. Sure, there's things that I missed because I didn't get to show on MMA. I really, really don't feel like I held back. I held back a lot. I really feel like there was a lot I didn't get to show. Yeah, I submitted Josh Barnett, but I don't think I really got my accolades as a grappler. I don't think I
Yeah.
really showed how good at grappling I really was for a big guy. I never really got a really good head kick knockout in the UFC. I had some in my younger part of my career, but like I kicked deceivingly high for how big I am, and I never really got to show that. So there's some regrets, but
Yeah.
hey, man, I'm very thankful that I get to continue fighting and show people off, give some knockouts. Because if this was 10 years ago, like, but I was this age, that probably could have been it for me. You know what I mean? If I was
Yeah.
like 43 10 years ago, BKFC wasn't around. You know what I mean? There might not have been something for me to flow into. So as I said, the timing of everything is pretty wild.
I love it. Well, Ben, any final message to the BKFC audience ahead of what could be a truly fantastic year for you?
Just exciting to keep going out there and putting out what they love to see. Like I said, I had a great time in Salt Lake City. I just got to go out and hang out with the fans, and just letting them always know, man, don't, it's still crazy to me that even there, I was telling people, and people could see people were coming up and asking me photos, and people would still come up and be like, "Is it okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what do you mean, is it okay?" And they're like, "Well, I don't want to bother you." And I'm like, "Dude, and the people are so humble, and it makes me laugh, like I'm happy, I'm
Mhm.
excited, but it also makes me hurt, like, man, who hurt these people that they're so scared? You know what I mean? That
That they
somebody like
think that they
held up.
couldn't come up. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the part that's sad, that people that there's athletes that act like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
you realize that the fans is why we get to do this? Like,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? So I'm always very humbly just appreciative of the fans, and I always have time for everybody. I do my very best to give everybody their time and hang out with them, and just of course out of the fans, but uh Yeah, just to the BKFC in general, man. They're incredible, and I'm very very excited to be a part of this journey. And I tell David Feldman and his family, man, they changed my life. I owe them forever.